All right, my name is Clayton. No, yes. My name is Clayton, actually. Today we are going to make one of my favorite kitchen staples. You can call it anything you want. The fancy term is garlic confit, spelled C... This is where you're gonna get me. C-O-N-F-I-T, so French for something that's cooked in its own fat, because garlic doesn't have fat of its own, believe it or not. We're gonna cook it in like a neutral cooking oil. I would recommend something that has what's called a high smoke point. Something with a high smoke point that's neutral is like a grapeseed oil, a canola oil, but grapeseed is a better alternative than canola. You know, you could do this in like a pork lard. If you were into that, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's delicious, or bacon fat. But if you want to keep it vegetarian, or you want to, you know, keep something that can sit out at room temperature that's not going to go rancid, I would recommend like a grapeseed oil. Incredibly easy, very few components, but something that you can use in absolutely anything. So I use this in marinades, purees, sauce work. You can spread it on toast. When I'm cooking meat, I'll throw a couple of cloves of this in the pan, and then, you know, as it kind of softens and cooks with the meat, you can then take that garlic clove and spread it on the meat before you eat it. It's just incredibly versatile, delicious, and easy. So we're gonna start with some whole garlic. People do this a number of different ways. Essentially, we just wanna get all the skin off these cloves. Just gonna separate them from the head. Okay, so 2 small mixing bowls, inverted, shake it like it owes you money. Just check it. It should get a lot of that loose stuff off, and then you might have to go back through and... Okay, and you can kind of pull out the whole cloves, you know, and you don't necessarily need this step, but it just kind of helps get rid of a lot of this paper stuff that you don't want to deal with. So essentially, we just want to peel this garlic. You can do this a number of different ways, depending on if you care that it's like totally smashed and obliterated, or you want to keep it whole. You can take a paring knife and peel it back. You can use your hands. Or you can start to get really impatient like I do, and then just take the back of a knife, just give it a light little smack, and then the skin just kind of pops right off. All right, so after you get through that painful process of peeling all the garlic, next step is incredibly simple. So you're gonna take your neutral cooking oil. Now you can do this on the stovetop, you can do it in the oven, whatever makes you happy, whatever you have time for. They're both about equally as easy. You can use a sauce pot. In this case, I'm gonna use this cast iron. I love cooking in cast iron for a whole number of reasons. Not only do you get this like delicious roasted garlic, but you also get this delicious roasted garlic oil. And you can use it in any number of things, whether it's vinaigrette, whether you cook with it, you know, or whether you're splashing it on a piece of fish or something like that before you eat it. We've got an ample amount of oil. That was about 4 cups to about 2 cups of garlic. Now, fresh thyme. You're gonna see me do it a lot. I love fresh thyme. I use it in about everything. Reason being I like fresh over dried is I feel like the flavor is a little more subtle. So it just kind of gives it a little depth of flavor without being overpowering. I actually like to take a few whole black peppercorns, kind of sprinkle them in there. It's going to kind of help flavor the oil. It's not necessarily going to flavor the garlic. You're going to put that on medium-low heat, and you're just going to let it ride. You're going to let it go until you start to see these air bubbles come up through the oil, and the garlic's going to start to simmer a little bit. Essentially what we're doing is we're cooking out all the water that's inside the garlic, and we're replacing it with the oil. So the oil is what's going to go ahead and preserve the garlic, so that's why it can sit on your counter, or that's why it can sit in your refrigerator for months at a time. But if you get your oil too hot and essentially you fry the garlic, you're going to ruin it. And it's not going to have the shelf stabilization that it would if you just slowly simmered it. Medium-low heat, just let it ride. We'll come back and visit in a few minutes. All right. So our roasted garlic, or our garlic confit, is complete. You can see how the cloves have really kind of transformed color a little bit. They're a lot more darker in nature, but because our oven wasn't too hot and the oil is just kind of like slowly penetrating that garlic and, you know, replacing the water in there, the garlic still has all of its integrity and all of its structure to it. And, you know, if you give it a little poke, you can feel like it's really soft and supple to the touch. The garlic oil is just as delicious as the garlic itself. So I recommend taking the garlic, transferring it to a container, storing it in the oil itself, either at room temperature or it's definitely going to store longer in the refrigerator. And the garlic itself you can add into really any recipe you want. You can replace the raw garlic that a recipe calls for. You can take this, run a knife over it like you would be making a garlic paste and just kind of smash it. And you can just like see how easily like it spreads. It's almost like garlic butter. Now I use this a lot if I'm gonna like put it on a piece of roasted meat, like roasted red meat or fresh meat off the grill. It's absolutely amazing. You know, the garlic oil, oftentimes I'll use to finish seafood with. So when the fish comes out of the pan and it's, you know, getting ready to go to the plate, we'll splash a little bit of garlic oil on it. Keeps the vampires away. We use the garlic oil in a lot of homemade vinaigrettes, not as a full substitute for your vegetable oil or your neutral cooking oil, but just a partial substitute. So if a recipe calls for, say, a cup of cooking oil, we might substitute 25% of that with the garlic oil just to kind of give it a depth of flavor. And the longer this sits, the more depth of flavor your oil is going to get and just continue to be that much more delicious. Hit subscribe below and join us each week as we share new recipes that I love to make at home. My name is Clayton, actually.
No.
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 No.